Hello 8th grade, this is Mr. Rogers and you're watching the video lecture for section 3-2. This is on acids and bases, kind of the basics of acids and bases. So our lesson objectives are on this first page. You do not have to write these down. Our first objective is to identify the properties and examples of acids and bases. And secondly, to understand what the pH scale measures. So acids and bases. Everyone's probably heard of an acid before, but what's a base? So first of all, guys, some basic definitions. And so again, what is an acid or a base? Well, there's some basic properties or characteristics we can think of that acids are going to have. An acid is a substance that tastes sour, reacts with metals, and carbonates and turns blue litmus paper red. So when we say reacts, it means it has a chemical reaction with. So carbonates, that's an ion, that carbon and oxygen ion. Things like chalk would be a carbonate. And also a lot of living things have carbon in them, or once living things. So it can react with skin. They're very dangerous that way. Can be. So we say they're corrosive. If something is corrosive, that means one substance eats away at another or breaks it down. So, there's certain types of acids that would be very corrosive to skin or corrosive to metal. They would corrode and eat away at that material. On the other side, we have what are called bases, or a base. A base is a substance that tastes bitter, if you can taste it, feels slippery, and turns red litmus paper blue. So it tastes bitter. If you've ever had your mouth washed out with soap, tastes bitter. Soap is a base. Feels slippery. Soap, again, when you wash your hands, you get that slippery feeling, or washing the dishes. Soap is very slippery. And turns red litmus paper blue. It's kind of a big thing there. Or baking soda. We had baking soda, kind of a certain taste of foods. That's also a base. So how do we know what's an acid or a base? What are ways we can tell or run tests to do that? Well, some simple things we can do, we'll do in class, are use indicators. And an indicator is a substance that can change or changes the color when in contact with an acid or a base. And litmus paper is kind of the common one. Some basic litmus paper just changes one color from like red to blue or blue to red. Some are more complicated. They can give you kind of the range on the pH scale from 0 up to 14. Then kind of place it on that scale. Sometimes you take a sample of the fluid, add a drop, and it changes color. We'll use cabbage juice. Surprisingly, cabbage juice is a very good indicator. We'll use that in the future also. So let's take a look at this idea of a pH scale, which is the idea of where these acids or bases fall. So here's a pH scale. It goes from 0 to 14. But there's some different things about it that aren't common if you think about going from 0 to 14. If something is neutral, it's actually considered to be right around 7. So water, distilled water is neutral. So you can see here on the scale, the closer you get to 0, it says increasing acidity. So the closer to 0 you are, the more acidic the substance is. And from 7 up to 14, so the closer you get to 14, the more it's called alkalinity, or that's the more basic it is. And we'll talk more in depth in the future about what that means to be more acidic and what it means to be more alkali. But the pH scale, simply put, is a scale that places different things on that scale of how acidic they are or how basic they are. And here's some common things. 7 is neutral. Milk's pretty close, a little acidic actually. Things like vinegar, lemon juice, battery acid are common things that are acids. On their side of 7 there, going up to 14, weak bases would be like baking soda, seawater, milk and magnesium getting a little higher there. Ammonia is pretty high. Lye is really high up there. Drano, very high, the drain cleaner. And so these would be very basic. These can still be very dangerous for you, but they're dangerous in different ways than acid would be in the way they react. But this idea of a pH scale, it's a scale of measuring how acidic something is or how basic, and it kind of puts it on the scale from 0 to 14. And we'll talk more about that in the future also. So 8th grade, we're going to stop here. I appreciate you guys for watching, and we'll see you along the way.